Welcome to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast dedicated to people who want to speak more as a way to build their income and grow their business. Well, welcome everyone to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast. My name is Jane Atkinson. Those of you who listen regularly know that I'm the author of the Wealthy Speaker 2.0 and the Epic Keynote, which I shamelessly plug on each and every podcast. Why? Because they're really good books. The topic of today's podcast is reinvention, and our guest expert is Michael Hoffman. Welcome, Michael.
Woohoo! Thank you, Jane. So glad to be here.
Let me tell you 4 things about Michael. Michael has been in the speaking business for 22 years. He is the co-author of a book, a fabulous book called Positively Outrageous Service. As a communications expert, Michael helps companies with their customer interactions and encourages team members to own it. And 90% of his business is repeat and referral business. And I think that really speaks volumes about you, Michael. Will you please, for our audience listening, share kind of what your current business model looks like?
You betcha. Well, gosh, when you sound like that, it makes you sound like I'm very old, but I'm very wise as well. And wisdom comes from making lots of mistakes. So, the old story of, how do you get wise? Well, avoid mistakes. Well, how do you avoid mistakes? Well, you can't. So there you go. That's how you become wise.
Okay.
My current business model is roughly, how can I possibly bring value to my customers in a very specific area? I mainly do keynotes, and I do have training as well where we can actually go deeper. Of course, at an event, I'll add breakouts if we wanted to add that extra element during those type of conventions. But I'm mainly a keynoter and online delivery person. My current model is I try to pick a handful, no more than 3 organizations that we actually get into cahoots with and climb into a relationship with for about a year of going deeper and trying to become part of their culture and influence as much as possible in our area of expertise. And that has really worked out over the last couple of years, but it's really taking off right about now, which is awesome.
I love it. And some of the things that you're doing are so interesting. And I want to make sure that we cover a cup of Hoff. That's just something that's kind of interesting that some of your clients are actually loving, are they not?
Oh gosh, yeah. A cup of Hoff has really, really taken off. I'm very excited about that too, because how do you extend yourself past that keynote experience? How do you keep the energy going? Because everybody gets that. They come up and they love on you afterwards, and they go, "Oh my gosh, I wish I had you in my office every Monday to kick off the meeting. I really." And now you can.
There you go, through the cup of Hoff, which is amazing. I think that's fantastic, Michael. So, has picking a lane in your career, we're going to talk about reinvention here in a second, but how important would you say picking a lane has been for you in your career?
Well, I love that phrase because it really helps me articulate to the people that I'm working with, all the extra folks that I hope we talk about, as far as getting on board to help you with this, because I'm not the jack of all trades or the master of none. I need a team. Well, to be able to articulate that was very, very helpful to say, I've got so many ducks. I've got training. I've got online training. I've got a coaching package that I like to do sporadically. I have my keynote. I've got all these pieces, but I've never had my ducks flying in a row. Or in formation, I should say. They've never been in formation because they've always been addressing a need that pops up and has never been pre-planned, which has served me well for 22 years, but has never, as somebody once put it, I've never busted through the ceiling of anything. I've had a very good career, a very good living, but I've never really taken it to the level that I know I can. And I think that's the reason. I never had them flying in a row. And that's what picking a lane has done for me, is to articulate, how do I get these all focused in one area? And that's the impact I'm having.
Huge. And when we say lane, we're really talking topic. And when you get 90% of your business repeat and referral, when a client comes back and says, "Can you do this for us? Can you do this for us? Can you do this for us?" Your tendency is to say yes, which then kind of starts to make you the go-to training person for them. And I think what happens at some point, Michael, you hit your head on the ceiling in terms of fees, and it's hard for you to kind of pop up and out of a particular fee range. And that's what part of the plan for reinvention was for you, was to take it to an entirely new level. Am I correct?
I think you absolutely nailed it. Here's another observation on that as well, and that is, I've got several clients that I've had the pleasure of working with for a very long time. Like I said, repeat referral business has been the key for my success. I've had some clients that I've been with for over a decade. One client, 17 years.
Wow.
And what happens is, if you're not careful, is it's like you said, if I'm the go-to person, hey, Mike, here's a need, and I would do the research and I would create a program for them, even if it wasn't in my area of expertise at the time. What I've actually essentially done for them is I make them work on how they see me. In other words, hey, maybe Mike can do this, as opposed to, no, this is what Michael does, and this is what they come to, and we go from there.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Well, I think what's really helpful is when you educate your clients that you are kind of the go-to guy on all things communication. And of course, this is part of the current strategy is really teaching people what to expect from you. You're right now, a part of your reinvention is to re-educate your clients on what to expect. And when you can say, okay, anything communication related, anything customer interaction related, I'm your guy. And then every once in a while, it's like, hey, some sort of, I don't know, what would be some topic that you might get called for just randomly, something that you've had in the past that you've said, no, that's just not me.
Classic. Let me give you a classic example, and this is how picking a lane really helped me. I have a client that actually, I have most of my clients before would talk to me. When they thought of Michael Hoffman, they thought of the customer experience. And I would get all kinds of requests on the customer experience. And you might be thinking of customer service experience right now as the communication piece, which is what I did. But what I was doing by not being specific is I was get things like, the experience of not that had nothing to do with the interaction pieces. So, the packaging, presentation, atmosphere. And I had somebody really help me a little while ago as we were starting this reinvent. It was really the timing was perfect. When he said, "You're really not customer experience, are you?" And I went, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, when I think of customer experience, if you were just to say customer experience and then you were to tell me, Michael, you're actually the interaction piece of the customer experience. The customer experience is the umbrella is much bigger. It's the packaging. It's the marketing. It's how I feel about me when I'm around you. Your area of expertise that helps me use Michael is in what do my people say? What do they do when they're owning that customer interaction part of the customer experience?"
Right.
And before I was much more broad. And now that I've gotten laser focused on, I am the people element of the customer experience, they go, "Oh, holy cow." And now they can apply that to lots of different things.
Right.
And it's just opened up the doors. Does that make sense?
Perfect sense. So, what I think we've already really established is the reason why you reinvented yourself was because your clients were using you in too broad of a fashion, and it was probably limiting you perhaps from getting to where you wanted to go ultimately in your fees, would you say?
Oh, I would totally concur. I was actually muddy. I use the word muddy. I was very muddy. And so what happens is when you're not crystal clear, you're very difficult to book. And the value is not as high as you think it is because they don't see you like you see you. And the more you can help them, the better. So yeah, my fees have definitely been impacted by my focus.
I love it. I love it. Now, please address this because I think I've just gone through it myself. Changing your business model, whether it be raising your fees or reinventing, can be so very, very scary. What, how scary was it for you to kind of let go of some of that tried and true marketing material and actual speech content?
The term fetal position comes into mind, and we would rock back and forth, just whimpering at times. Well, yeah, I received it from a good friend. They had said, one of the things they do every year, I can't imagine doing it every year, but they make all of their material re-audition to get back in.
Right.
And I went through, I still am actually going through a process of that because I've got my favorites. My wife actually put her fingers on it. She says, actually, you've got 3 programs on your website, but you really do the best of. And I went, oh, she goes, that's not good. She's a stickler for me. She's going, you can't tell that story. That story doesn't go in that speech because it's like I ended up doing my favorites. And so I
Right.
actually had one
Ooh.
thing. Yeah. So
I
it's
I
not an
like
easy
that
thing.
the audition thing. That's Eric Chester, isn't it?
I
Is it?
believe so. Yeah. I
Okay.
believe that is Eric
Got to give
Chester.
him
Yeah. Which
props.
is
That I
a
love that.
great tip.
Make all throw it all out, and it doesn't mean that you're throwing out the baby with the bathwater. It's still there, it's still in the tub, but you make it audition to come back into the presentation. And for you now, you're going to look at your old favorites and say, does this belong with this, customer interaction, own it piece? And if it does, then it stays. And if it doesn't, then it goes. And I know it's really hard when you've got things that have killed. Um, Now, will your tornado make it into the new presentation?
Well, that's really interesting because I would think most of us we're the things that our audience tells us are important are very important to us.
Hmm.
And the tornado was really interesting. It was a reaction to an audience member that I came up with a tornado to help really get them focused. I had a lot of pushback. I love hecklers. I have a little comedic background. I love hecklers. And this guy was not having what I was putting down, man. He
Ooh.
was just not. And he was pushing back as to why this was important. And for some reason, I really wanted to help him know that I knew his day. And I came up with trying to describe why what we were about to talk about, the approaching our interactions on purpose, was important. And I described his day like a tornado. And the audience went ape nuts. They went, my gosh, that's exactly it. And being sort of a sharp business guy, those things smack you in the face. You better hang on to it. And I tried it again, and it was it. It was the thing. And so it's sort of when the audience tells you that's what it is, that's what it is. Now, I will promise you this. The tornado will probably always be a piece of it.
Hmm.
It's not going to be the mainstay. It'll probably be a foundation of everything that I talk about because it's so relatable.
Yeah,
It really will. Yeah.
because you're telling them that I get it. You're
Correct.
going to say that you don't have time to own it because of what your day might look like or whatever the framework you put around it might be.
Right.
But really, the idea is that, you're just sharing with them that you get them.
Yeah, and it's important for us to create platforms. And what I mean by a platform is this is the reason we're talking about this topic.
Hmm.
And when I establish the tornado, everybody goes, "Yep, that's my world." And then I can focus it in on why we're talking about this topic.
Right.
So when we establish the tornado and I'm in front of a leadership audience and I'm talking about how do you get your people to own it in the craziness of this world, and they go, yeah, how do you do that, Mike? And I go, well, let's buckle up for another hour, Jack, because we're about to answer that question. And they're eating out of my hands. So
Oh, that's
it's one of
nice.
those platform topics that or those platform ideas that allow us to hook a lot of information on and reasons for paying attention. I
You
love
know,
it.
one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on now is because in a few weeks you will be standing up on the stage at NSA and
No pressure.
looking your sharp self. And I kind of wanted people to know that when we first kind of started working together a few months ago, what was that, maybe 8 months ago, 6 months,
Yep. Yep.
uh, you know, you were in a different place. You weren't, you have actually gone through a personal transformation physically. You've gone,
Spiritually,
you've
ecumenically,
You've
financially.
gone through the
Yes.
whole works, the whole gamut. And I just think it's really wonderful when people can say, that person up there that I've put on the pedestal, they too have struggled. Let's talk about your physical transformation that you've made just recently. I'm so impressed with you.
Oh, that's very nice of you to say. For those of you, this is a podcast. Picture this: for some reason, I connect with an audience. I love them. It's a giant love fest, and I would get this quite a bit. You are the most huggable guy I've ever known. Well, that is code for what a large man. I have been a large man for about 25 years, a man of girth, I like to say. I'd walk down the airplane and you would look at me going, please don't sit by me. Please don't sit by me. I know, I hear you. Don't think I don't hear you. And up on stage, it was the large sweaty man. It really got to the point over the last couple of years where I knew I had to do something. But, I'm sure we all had those things in our lives where I should do something, but I don't for years. And that was my weight. And I've just recently, I started, 6 months ago?
Mhm.
Almost 6 months. Well, 6 months ago, and I've dropped 75 pounds.
Woohoo!
Yeah, it's been everything. I'll be honest with you. The biggest motivation is I'm co-chairing with Christine Cashin, who is the belle of the ball and the most beautiful woman you've ever known. And she's a very good friend of mine. And I just didn't want it to be Christine and the Fat Man, which is exactly what it would have been. I got to hold my own with Christine, and we've been having a lot of fun with it. But this is the first time it's actually worked. I'll be honest with you.
Oh, well,
So yeah, transforming our business, our look, our focus, everything.
well, I want people who are listening who attend NSA in a few weeks to please come in and shake your hand or give you a hug anyway.
You can still hug
You're
me.
still
I'm
you're
still
you're
huggable.
still huggable, and make sure that they say they listened and hopefully learned a few things from this podcast. So let's talk about steps in terms of what steps that you are taking that have really paid off.
Well, the first one was really in our conversations, Jane, that you've helped me. Having that third person just kind of be outside and helping you get outside yourself has been awesome. And I think the key has been, okay, let's get laser focused. What is it actually that you do? What makes it different than before, and why would it be different? See, that was the biggest thing. You've got all these ducks. What's the commonality in the ducks?
Right.
And what is the formation? What's the formation verbiage? One of my biggest mistakes, if I'm not jumping ahead of the conversation a little bit, is that I've done a lot of things. I've got an online training element. I've got, different programs. I can train with certain programs that we can go from a half day to 3 days. I've got keynotes. I've got breakouts, but they were never working together. And whenever I went to go redo my website, people were getting frustrated with me because they kept saying, gosh, Mike, pull the trigger on something. And one of the things that I couldn't get people to understand is I don't have the verbiage. I don't have the lane, because once you have that, everything falls into place. And I would spend money on recreating business cards, recreating websites, recreating programs, and they were still piecemeal. And so stopping and finding that verbiage allowed me to communicate with everybody. Website person, the new book, which is a new one that we're writing, coming together on Own It. Once we had Own It, and once we had the focus of I am the interaction piece of a customer experience, everything started to fall into place, and I can get other people to fall into place faster.
Wonderful. And if you're someone who uses any version of Own in your brand or in your language, I don't want you to worry about it, because most of you are coming at these from very different directions. And it's hard to kind of own the language. But I think that the language for you is what is the glue that will keep it all held together. And one of the visions that you might have is, and for you, it's come true so many times, but now it will be multiplied, because you'll go and you'll deliver a presentation and you'll deliver this Own It language, which they will adopt. Then you'll visit their offices 6 months later and look around, and maybe in some time there'll be posters on the wall with Own It, or door knockers, or coffee mugs. People will be drinking and all saying Own It. And if you go into that boardroom of that company and they're having a conversation, maybe they'll be using your language. Wait, we need to own this, and then move on from there. How cool is that, Michael?
It's everything. If you're not creating, if you're not, I call them mental hooks. If you're not creating hooks for them to hang on to the way that you say things, you're really missing your opportunities. My goal is to get you to talk about me for the next year. I want to be the topic. I want it when we have a keynote and I get done, I have given you physical things. That's why the tornado works so well, because people would stand and they would say, I am the master of the tornado. Well, that's not just a silly thing. I'm doing that so that you talk about me forever. I want them to go, I want the Own It Awards to exist. I'm trying to give you verbiage to hang on to so that you're talking about me for a year. And really, what my goal is to get you talking about you. But I'm the reason why you're talking about you. That's how I stay. It's not about you thinking about me. It's about me igniting your culture, but now I'm part of your culture. And it's very difficult to fire the culture guy.
The culture guy. Well, that actually leads to, I wanted you to tell everybody about BMO, which was a client who hired you and took you throughout their entire company. Talk about the training that you did for them and how people responded to you.
That was a great exercise. We were with them for almost a decade, and it started out as a keynote, and they brought me in as a subject matter expert to help create a language for their people to own the interactions of their customer experience in their banks. Because at the time, and I don't think I'm speaking out of school because it's a wonderful turnaround story, out of the top 5 banks in the country in Canada, they were 5th. In their national promoter scores or net promoter scores. And they wanted to be number 1 in 5 years. So they created a program that I helped, I brought my expertise and was a part of, called Brilliant at the Basics. And basically it was creating a common language for everybody to get on across the country. And we created a video series called Brilliant at the Basics. And it was going okay. It was sputtering. It really was kind of sputtering. It was a couple months after it was launched, and it was a training program. We took a very different approach. We took it with a very tongue-in-cheek approach, a very Monty Python approach, and so it was meant to be funny, but we didn't realize how much of an impact it had until one day I was actually at their campus, and I saw a bunch of managers celebrating a graduation from management school, and I was kind of hanging out in the back, and they were on stage singing Girls Just Want to Have Fun karaoke style, and I was smiling, and at the end of the song, they're coming off the stage, and one of them recognized me, and they said, "Oh, that's the tornado guy," and they went, "Oh my God, the tornado guy," and they mobbed me. They literally mobbed me, and I was signing babies and kissing people for like an hour, and we hung out. And we hung out, and they were telling me how much they loved the videos and how much everything. And I literally got it. The bells went off. And I first of all, I emailed everybody who was of influence in BMO that night, and I said, "Let me tell you what your people are saying about this training program." And then from then on, for about 6 months, I made it a point to make my face known in every branch I could. I showed up, and they started people saying, "Oh man, that's the BMO guy. That's the Brilliance guy." And I became known as the Brilliance guy. And the Brilliance guy is actually in it. And they would tweet and they would take pictures. And I did everything I could to make myself, encouraging to the training. And so the reason why that helped was not only did the excitement go about that the training guy, the Brilliance guy, was known and seen, but I was bringing energy and fun around this. So now the pictures are being tweeted and the captions are being tweeted, and people started taking advantage of that. And all of a sudden, the celebrity status took off. And that's really what I was trying to create, was a little bit of a celebrity status. And now there was value for me being at all the managers' meetings, at all the directors' meetings, at all of anytime they had a reason to celebrate, I made myself available. And so those I threw in for free. The meetings they paid for. And so they brought me in for all paid keynotes. But anytime somebody needed me to leave a voicemail on somebody they wanted to celebrate, anytime they were having a breakfast and I was near it, I went. anytime they wanted me to pop in for a guest appearance, I did it because it made me a lot of money. And it was very difficult to fire the brilliance guy. And I hung around for almost a decade.
Wow, that's fantastic. And that was a good run. And no doubt some of the people will, you'll become the own it guy for some of these companies that you'll be with for this next decade.
I sure
So,
hope so. We got them lined up.
so we were talking about steps, and sometimes you can't see the label when you're inside the jar. So
Right.
having someone else kind of take a look at things was very, very helpful. What other
Yes.
steps did you take? We locked down the language. Then you made some tweaks to your website and made sure that other people could really get this clarity. What other steps have you taken?
I like the fact that we rolled out. I have a tendency to overthink and to spend too much time in preparation, and so you really did a great job of saying, okay, let's get this started by changing. Let's just change the front page. We got to change the verbiage right away. So we really put the focus on own it. We put the focus on the customer interaction. And by the way, that was like step 2 or 3. Because we started out with customer experience, and as we sort of tested the language, we tweaked it again.
Yep.
So I had people on, so that the steps were that once I had the language, I had my website guy start to, be with me, and we would make tweaks along the way several times. But the first steps were to change the front page and to change the programs.
Right.
And that really, really helped. Then I started to get the videos around that language.
And tell me, you're doing something cool when people call and they're interested in you for a date. What talk about the videos that you might send to them? Your energy, I really think, is kind of what we're selling here. You're just such a fun guy to be around. And so talk about the videos a little bit. I think that's difficult especially when there's a bureau in between you or a middle person somehow. How do you get your energy across? So you accomplish that brilliantly.
Oh, well, thank you. You gotta work with what you got. And one of the things in this reinvention, and one of the questions you ask is, well, why do you want to reinvent? Well, I've been around for a long time. I am not the shiny penny anymore. And so there's so many new, and I'm 54. I'm an old guy. So what has an old guy got to offer these days? He's been around. We've had Mike. You understand? We've done that. So I was really feeling that. And as we talked, it was okay. Well, what is it that I bring that might be different? What is it that I bring that might have a different perspective? And it was my delivery. It's not that I'm saying anything that is rocket science different than most people, but I do have my spin on it, which is great. But what my real asset is my delivery. I can be funny. I want people to feel better about themselves when they leave me. So I think that is a strength for me. So how do I play that up? Well, video is the best because nobody sells me like me. So I started creating videos. When someone put me on hold, when they've even thinking about me, I send them a minute and a half video. And
Awesome.
that video allows them to see me, to hear me, to get a taste. And the goal of the video is to call. It's not, I'm not closing. I'm not trying to sell anything. I just want them to call me. If you can get me on the phone, we're probably doing business.
Yeah.
So I started doing that because I know bureaus, they've got a big job, and there's no way they can know everybody. And I'm not the shiny penny anymore. So what can I do?
And you're not the shiny penny, and it's very, very quick that both any middleman that you might have along the way could shift gears and go to somebody else. And so that's our goal, is to kind of keep them stuck on you as long as humanly
There's
possible,
a lot of noise.
and especially long enough to get you on the phone with them. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so there were a few kind of steps that we kind of mapped out in terms of, and really we haven't even gotten to the big fire yet, which is coming, where you will relaunch to all of your existing clients to say, ta-da, this is what Michael's doing now. After NSA, we'll get around to that. Is there anything that you wish that you would have done differently, kind of either back before this, or maybe even done it sooner?
I have to tell you, we've been talking about it the entire time, but let me just emphasize it because I think a lot of our listeners that are paying attention right now will really relate to this, and that is we put so much emphasis on creating new things, but I spent way too much time not focusing on getting my ducks in the same row. What is my system that I'm promoting? What is the umbrella that I'm promoting? What is my laser focus concept that is me? Once I have that, everything else falls into place, and I won't waste money or time on creating energy in any other area. And that was my biggest regret. I spent so much money in that.
That is just fantastic.
Oh, well.
So what's different? I feel like you've become a different person this whole process.
Spiritually, ecumenically, physically. I will tell you, you know what I'm excited about the most
What?
is I've never written a book.
Ooh.
The book that I have, the Positively Outrageous Service, is another example. Is I partnered with a lot of great people, and I'm very proud of being a partner with those group of guys. T. Scott Gross is a legend, and Andrew Szabo is one of my favorite people to work with. But I've never personally written a book, and a lot of it is because I just didn't have the focus. And one of the things I am so excited about now is I know what the book is now. I can see the Own It book. It's almost writing itself.
Oh, that's
and that
great.
Excites. I've been around for 22 freaking years. I've never written a book. Come on, Hoffman.
Well, you know what? I bet you any money there's somebody at the other end of this podcast that needed to hear that. And maybe they're 22 years in, maybe they're longer, maybe they're less. But I think it is so true. I have been in the exact same position where I wasn't ready to write my next book until it all fell into place. And now it turns out it's not even going to be a book. It's going to be the Wealthy Speaker Daily Success Planner. It's going to be like a planner and a journal. And I'm like super, super excited. And the minute you get it clear, you can honestly write it so easily. But the other ideas just weren't sticking, and so it didn't take off. So good for us. We have our clarity now, and this fall, coming to you in an Amazon near you, Michael Hoffman and Jane Atkinson will have new products for you.
Life-changing products.
Well, Michael, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your calendar to be with us today. Is there anything that you would like to leave our listeners with before, or if they want to get in touch with you, what should they do?
Well, I'm at ignitingperformance.com. That's ignitingperformance.com. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter and all those good things. But please send a note. One of the things I love about the National Speakers Association and some of the associations we belong with is that, truly, if you're not buying somebody in this profession a cup of coffee every month just to go, what's working, man, you're an idiot. I really do believe that. I think that I am one that has really enjoyed the relationships in this industry. So I will not hesitate to share where I've gone and where I've been. So reach out, let's take advantage of each other and come to Influence in Orlando if you're not signed up already.
There you go. It's in July, so who knows when you're listening to this recording, but if you're there, please.
4 years ago, you missed it.
Please, 4 years ago. This is 2017, by the way. We're talking July 8th, 9th, 10th, and on the Monday, I'll be doing a session there called the Wealthy Speaker Positioning Bootcamp. That's all coming together. You'll see Michael's beautiful, lean body up on the main stage, and I'm excited. I'm going to do a little cocktail party for all my clients, my VIPs. So, okay, Michael, with that, we will say bye for now and see you soon, Wealthy Speakers.
Bye, Wealthy Speakers. Talk to you soon. Thanks, Jane.
Thanks. Thanks for listening to the Wealthy Speakers Show. Please visit speakerlauncher.com for your free Wealthy Speaker audit, and visit speakerlauncher.com/podcast for show notes and many more resources to help you catapult your speaking business. See you soon, Wealthy Speakers.